I'm warming
totally
up.
I had the problem with Noah when I was sitting with him. Yeah.
There were a lot of things Curtis was like, this is good, and then it was just like such an enthralling conversation that we were like, we have to
stop.
I want to talk more, or I want to listen more, but like we have to save this. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. I know.
No, it's all good. I just
it.
need to. That was a good warm up. Good warm up.
Yep.
So
La, la,
you
la,
asked
la.
great questions.
La 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 la.
Straight up.
All right, yeah, so we are live now.
Cool.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Am
You got the link?
Am I allowed to talk
Yeah,
now?
if you have the link, let me know and I can
So the link is
post everything.
On the Facebook, right?
It's the Facebook
On
and
the
then
Facebook.
YouTube.
Okay.
So if you look up Good Morning Aurora, it should be the first thing.
Okay.
It's like a little blue circle.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Either on YouTube. YouTube's at 1080 and Facebook's at 720 because that's what they allow.
Zuckerberg is hating.
Pitiful standard definition. Ugh.
Like, good morning, Roy. You know what? They're making a little noise over there. Hit them with some.
I like
Bring them down to 480.
480. I like the title of this, Understanding the Way.
Understanding the way. Hunter, hit it, baby.
You dudes ready?
We ready. Yes.
Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. I am Brenda Rogers, candidate for Kane County Recorder of Deeds. As your next Recorder of Deeds, I will protect our taxpayers' investment, bring awareness to the position, and do outreach to our residents and veterans. I am asking for your vote during early voting, mail-in ballot, or on November 3rd. Vote for Brenda Rogers, Kane County Recorder of Deeds, paid for by Citizens for Brenda Rogers.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is now 8:04 a.m., and you are listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And today, we're with a good friend of the show, our brother, Mr. Noah Way. Holla.
That's so sweet. Like you have that in studio live applause.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yep. That's no clap
It's good
button.
to
We don't need
see
the clap.
you.
Those are real hands doing the clapping.
Absolutely.
Want to say
to
good
see
morning
you
to my
guys.
Good morning.
co-host Christine,
Good morning.
JV, Hunter, and everyone else in the studio today for this great episode. Got a lot to talk about. So without any further delay, the news.
Yeah, we have better applause factor than most of the
We do.
sports, which we'll get to in a minute.
Oh.
And I have to apologize too because yesterday I forgot one of the news items. Yesterday was Hunter's birthday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Happy
Hunter.
birthday,
happy
Hunter.
birthday, Hunter. Yeah. Snaps.
Snaps.
Nice.
But in local news, this Friday, October 2nd, is the 4th annual Cups Bra Drive. That's being held at the Aurora Regional Fire Museum in downtown Aurora from 5 to 8 p.m. This event will benefit women and girls living in homeless and battered women's shelters throughout the community. Check out the Cups Bra Drive page on Facebook for more information and how you can donate. We are still looking for Sugar Skull City submissions. If you haven't been around downtown, feel free to drive around, see all the different sugar skulls that are popping up around the city. These are going to coincide with First Fridays and Day of the Dead activities on November 6th. The Sugar Skull City promotion and activities will run from October 15th through November 15th. Artists, community members, youth, and families are invited to honor the Mexican tradition of Day of the Dead. You can create an unframed 12 by 18 work depicting a sugar skull that can be displayed in business windows throughout downtown Aurora. Participate by creating a 2D artwork in the style and media of your choice, and all skill levels are welcome. You can go to info. You can email your work to info@auroradowntown.org or drop off the artwork at Aurora Fast Print along with your name and contact information no later than October 5th. So you still have some time to get that in. Good morning, Aurora Sports. White Sox won yesterday 4-1 over the Oakland A's. They'll meet up again for Game 2 of the series this afternoon.
Uh-oh.
What is this? That, it's now like we're in playoff season and both Chicago teams are in the playoffs, so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. The Cubs will kick it off with the Marlins this afternoon. They're playing at Wrigley, and Kyle Hendricks will be the starting pitcher for the Cubs. And then finally, Game 1 of the NBA Finals begins tonight with the Miami Heat taking on the LA Lakers. You going to be watching?
Not at all. Not at all. They're playing like real games with the on the court and everything like that.
Well, they're playing real games, but there's not like really fans. There's kind of like, that applause. That's what I mean. Like, we have better
They're
applause.
playing in just empty stadiums.
Well,
That's crazy.
partially empty. You got the little cardboard cutouts, a few select fans. It's kind of sad. It's better than nothing, but
Yeah.
still the
It's
times we're living in.
dystopian, right? It's like a bad science fiction movie. The athletes are playing in front of cardboard, or maybe they were the whole time.
Maybe. You never know. Do.
Just like that, it's a psychological show. All right. So the weather, the current temperature is 51 degrees with a high of 61 today. That high will be reached around 2 p.m. It's rainy outside. It's nice, so it's good weather for the jackets. Like we told you, get the fly gear. Time to rock it. Kohl's, get some turtleneck sweaters, something like that. Timberland boots, whatever you like. We take donations on Good Morning Aurora. All right, tomorrow will be rainy and a high of 63. Now, very important, the Fire Museum has Host Hero Day this weekend, hosting their third annual Community Hero Day on Saturday, October 3rd from 10 to 2. Community Hero Day is a free community event. The event features social distance viewing of vehicles from 8 community organizations spanning from safety to community services. Shout out to the Northern Illinois Fire Sprinkler Advisory Board. Didn't even know they had one, but they do, and they're doing big things, as you can hear. The event will include vehicles from the Aurora Fire Department, Aurora Police Department, Nicor Gas, Ozinga, Groot, Kane County Sheriff. Shout out to Ron Hain, West & Sons Towing, and the Illinois Toll Highway Authority. Since you got to give them money, I'm not sure that they qualify for a shout-out, but we'll holler at them. All right, now, I just zoomed past you with the news, but here it is again, coming back like Action Jackson. In preparation for the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Funding Cycle, the City of Aurora will host a pre-application webinar on Monday, October 5th at 10 a.m. The webinar will provide information about project eligibility, agency capacity, and the application funding process, and also provides an opportunity for residents to learn about the CDBG program. Participation in the pre-application webinar is highly recommended. The webinar will be viewable via remote access, and we've shared that link because it's too much to tell you, the HTTP and all that, all the way to QT09. That's not a zero, that's not an O, it's a 0. Why does my computer keep jumping? All right. Virtual Manufacturing Day Hiring Event is a free online event. It's taking place this Thursday, tomorrow, from 9 to 11, and that's through the Kane County Sheriff's Office, again with Mr. Ron Hain. During the event, you'll learn about the Kane County Sheriff's Job Board, forklift driver certification training, manufacturing careers internship program, and employers with immediate job openings. So if you, hopefully not you, because you're up drinking coffee, you're hustling, you're with it, you listen to Good Morning Aurora. Hopefully you or anyone looking for work, tell them about this because it's a free event and they have a lot of great contacts and a lot of good work that's available. Visual Arts, Roots, and Aurora Public Art coming together to present. I've been telling you about it for a while now. The Aurora Stronger exhibit, a community that came together. That's this Friday from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Gallery 1904 at 1 East Benton in downtown Aurora. That's the old Aurora Public Library, right there where the statues that sprout water, even though it's raining. That's cool. All right. Visual Arts will be premiering the documentary called Our Streets. The exhibit will feature over 25 photographs of the unrest that took place in Aurora on May 31st and highlight how the community came together to make Aurora even stronger. Shout out to some of the featured photographers, Gary Bonnick, GW, Victoria Lunacek, Ivan Carmona, and Amy Nelson. And with that, the news. And now it's time to get into our interview with our friend, Aurora native and filmmaker, Mr. Noah Way. Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you.
Hey,
Good
Noah.
to see you guys too. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Yes,
It's gonna be a fun time.
Yep. So we are going to talk. I want to say, first of all, that's a really nice jacket. You're looking good today.
Thank you.
You're looking good.
Call it my fighter pilot jacket.
Yeah.
I feel like a fighter pilot. So
Nice.
little
Top
edgy
Gun.
today.
Top Gun.
good. We
Good edgy,
okay,
yeah.
Edgy's good. People gotta know I'm that
Yep.
edgy.
Like, yo, that's that dude.
artist.
Yo,
Yes.
tune in, y'all. Tune in.
Exactly.
So first, without delay, who are you? Let the audience know who you are, where you're from. Just told everybody you're Noah, but
So my name's Noah Way. I am a independent filmmaker and firstly artist. I make films, and I am originally from Aurora, born and raised. So
nice. Now tell us your educational background.
my educational background. So I was, fun fact, homeschooled.
Nice.
So yeah, I was homeschooled and worked through the summer. So I was doing school 12 months year round. And by the time I was 16, I like ran out of curriculum. And so my mother enrolled me in community college. And so I started undergrad at 16. And then by the time I was 20, I was like done with undergrad. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be kicked out into the world this early. So I moved to Los Angeles and went to graduate school at a place called Loyola Marymount University in Marina Del Rey, Los Angeles, which is right next to LAX, and studied filmmaking, directing for film and television. And in undergrad, I studied theater acting, which I kind of used as like pedagogy because I used to act previously, but I'm much more interested in the behind the scenes filmmaking process, but I didn't really discover that until I was acting. And I was like, actually, it might be cool to like write the things I'm acting and to like direct the things I'm acting more than perform itself. So I kind of used that, all of the stuff that I learned about acting to direct performers.
That's interesting. And then we're gonna get to LA and talk about California and that part of the interview and everything like that. I'd like to talk more about that style and that scene.
Sure thing.
Growing up, what impact did your mom have in your life?
My mother and I have a very complex relationship, so I think what I'll say to that is, if you would like to know what impact she had on my life, you should watch my first two films.
Rink.
So, yeah, Rink
Right.
is my first one,
Yeah.
and then my second film is Ecstasy.
All right.
So
There it is. Yes.
yeah.
Viewership.
Yeah.
All right. I started to watch Rink. I was watching
Oh
it.
my goodness! Did
I was
you?
watching it last night instead of the debate, which was
Wow.
way better than the
okay.
debate.
Here we go.
I had an option.
I don't know if my movie was as funny as the debate, though, so I'm sorry. But
so
yeah.
that's great with that.
Oh, good.
Where'd you go to community college?
I went to Wabansi.
Okay,
So
right over here.
in Sugar Grove, you
Okay.
know, can't get any more affordable
Yeah.
than that. It was, it was pretty good, and it was a great way to kind of like test the waters for what I wanted to do. Like I always knew what I wanted to do. Like in my heart and in my mind, I was like, I need to create and I need to make, and I'm an artist. But growing up here in the western suburbs of like one of the biggest cities in the country, it's crazy that there like just weren't that many like outlets and opportunities for like budding filmmakers or budding performers.
Mhm.
So I got to kind of try some things and read the catalog of classes and be like, oh well, like broadcast journalism, like they might not offer a narrative filmmaking class or like a screenwriting class, but like this is messing around with cameras, or this is at least writing something, or this is at least creative. And then from there I'm like, oh, we're in a newsroom right now at like the public access TV studio for Aurora or Batavia, which I did, and I'm like, I would much rather pivot and do something a little bit there. So it was a good way to kind of place me on the trajectory.
Right. We were talking about that earlier before the podcast started about your roots here and why you chose to film here. And,
Yes.
And kind of tell your story a little bit about where you came from. So where are some of the places you've filmed in Aurora?
Yeah, I filmed at Colonial Cafe.
Okay.
Because I grew up like going there every week with my great grandma, and I actually was there like last week again for the first time in probably like close to a year, and I had the same waitress that
Oh my
I had
gosh.
every week growing up, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you've gotten so big."
The cow there? Is it a cow or a
Yeah,
horse?
the cow with the wings. So I filmed there, because my films are very like personal to me, and so I want to put like this personal touch. And if your art and what you're making is not personal, like why bother? And so I just think it adds this additional element of, rather than trying to like recreate something, I'm like, no, this is like either like the place where it actually happened, or something along those lines. I filmed at Treadwell Coffee. Chad is a really cool guy.
Chad's
I
the
know that
best.
you guys
Yeah.
had him on the show. I filmed at Gillerson's Grubbery.
Shout out.
Yeah, and then I've also filmed outside of Aurora as
Okay.
well. So, but those are just a couple of the probably more notable places. I filmed at my childhood home as well, which was kind of funny
Were
to
you?
like have not lived there and then like come back and be like, I'm making a movie at like the place I grew up. So yeah,
Were you on the west side, east side?
West Side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also filmed at was it Aurora Skate Center? Is that where Rink
And
was?
the Aurora Skate Center. How could I
Yeah.
forget? Yes, I filmed at the Aurora Skate Center. So I think roller skating's fun. I grew up going to there, and then Funway in Batavia, and so I was like looking for that location that was like, what if you were to Google search like roller rink or like roller rink from the 1950s? Like, I feel like the Aurora Skate Center would come up, and I was like, this has to be more perfect. And they were kind of like hard to get on the phone, because at the time there was a older gentleman who worked there, or like who owned the place. And so one day I just stopped in, and I like explained who I was. I was like, I'm here from Los Angeles. I'm wanting to film like a feature film here. Like it's going on Amazon Prime. I was like, would you be? And he's like, yeah, sure. I was like,
Word. Yeah.
okay, nice. Yeah.
I love roller skating because we were talking about this
Yes.
yesterday, and
Uh-huh.
I dug out my old 1980 something roller skates that
Oh my
they still
goodness.
fit. And shout out to John at All Spoked Up, because I was sitting there, I was trying to clean them yesterday,
They look good.
and I'm like,
Oh.
who's gonna have a skate wrench that's gonna fix that? John did.
Right. Oh,
he
good.
took care of me. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear
so
that.
I told him, I said, I'll bring him in one day. I said, carry him over my shoulder.
Definitely. Like, why not? Or like skate here to the studio.
I could, yes.
You know,
we
it's
could do
good
it.
exercise. I feel like every time I always see people skating, I'm like, they're cool. I was like,
Oh,
I want to
yeah.
be like you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So when we were filming, you have like, for people that don't know, like you're on set 11, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. Like it all depends. Usually actors and crew members get paid daily, and actors, they only get paid for up to 8 hours, and anything past that is overtime. And then if you're in the union, and then if you're a crew member, they are like 12 hours minimum. So like
Right.
as a crew member, you're at least going to be on set for 12 hours. And because I was director and writer, and then I was one of the producers on the film, I was on roller skates for sometimes like 12 hours a day.
Damn.
And I would like take them off at the end of the day, and I'd be like, I can't feel my
Yeah.
feet. But I've
Is
lost
anything?
like 75 pounds since filming that movie 2 years ago. And so I was like, maybe that has something to do with it, like roller skating.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the new fad craze.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing something like biking,
Reports
running,
indicate a
skating out
boom
of the
in
gym.
Right.
purchase of roller skates. after
Especially
the-
in quarantine, like lots of outdoor activities,
Yeah.
So
Rinks. So to the point about Colonial Cafe,
mhm.
that adds so much credibility, and I like that you do that. Like you want to make it personal.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, let's not change the title of it and just come up with something. Leave it Colonial Cafe, because there's
Yeah.
a certain individual who is used to that smell, that place, that parking lot, that coffee, and yet it adds that extra layer, of personality to the film
Uh-huh.
and to your work. I think that's really cool.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for saying
think
that.
that's awesome.
We did a public screening at the Arcada in downtown St. Charles last July, just because after the film was released on Amazon, it was like there was enough like murmur for people being like, well, if I don't have Amazon, or oh, it would be cool to see it like in a theater. And so we
Gotcha.
put it in Arcada. I was like, we can do this. And every time like a recognizable location would come up, people would be like, no way, like that's that, oh my gosh, like I've been there. And so yeah, but it's cool because like I don't just make films for like the like the local population.
Mhm.
I like my films to apply to everybody, so I don't really consider that aspect of my work like esoteric by any means, because I think like anybody could be watching and you could be like, oh, that's like a diner, and then like, but for people in the know, they like know, and so it might just add like a little bit
That's
of a
not
different
just
element
the
or a
thing.
layer, if
Yes.
that makes
Stirs up
sense.
some
Yeah.
memories. For
Yes,
people. Yeah,
absolutely.
there's definitely
A
a
little
personal
nostalgia.
connection. Yeah,
So-
that's always great.
Now the second film was Ecstasis.
Correct.
Talk
yeah.
about that. What's Ecstasis about?
So ecstasis, the word ecstasis is derived from the Greek word ecstasy, but how it differs from kind of like the English definition is ecstasis means a an experience outside of one's body.
Ooh.
And so the film is about identity crisis, and it's about three different individuals who are kind of like post college, in that awkward stage of life that we've all been through or are going to be, and it's about identity crisis, and all of them go through a different thing that kind of shatters their identity and breaks them down to the core of who they are, and then they have to figure out from there who they are. And it's like, I thought that was relatable because there's each character deals with something different, but I feel like no matter which one it is, it can still be, no matter which issue the character is dealing with, it can still kind of be relatable to
Right.
viewers.
Yeah.
So
Everybody's going through something within themselves, or understanding themselves, or trying to understand themselves. So yeah, they can hook onto that, relate to that, and live that experience through the screen, through the character. That's important. That is important.
definitely.
I think, especially for a lot of other filmmakers, they seem to just be making something
Mm.
as opposed to having a purpose. Like, no, I want it to look like this. I want it to sound like this. I want the characters to be doing this. What is the overall theme behind your films?
You ask such good questions,
Bruh,
Curtis.
you
You
are
really
my-
do.
We hear, yeah.
We have this like
we hear, man.
wavelength
yeah,
going.
Seriously.
What's the common connection or like theme kind
Yes.
of in my films? So I make films for people that have never had films made for them before. Not that people haven't seen things similar to like a quirky roller skating drama or a film about identity crisis, but I really like showing things and talking about things that aren't often talked about in films because they're either too taboo, or maybe they do feel like a little esoteric or things like that, but people can still draw from them. And I would have to say my overarching theme is I want people to suffer less when they watch my films, because for me, like, art has saved me, and it's been a place for comfort, and it's been a place of solace for me when people have hurt me, or I feel like the world has been against me, or like however I'm feeling, or I'm feeling down or anxious.
Right.
I can watch a film that I really like, and it just resonates with me and brings me comfort. And so my mantra is I want to make films that make people suffer less. So for 2 hours, if you can watch my film and you can laugh or cry or feel things, or even if it's for escapism purposes, I would be very happy with that, because that's what art has done
Right.
for me. So
Yeah.
it's like creative therapy.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Hell yeah. The time is now 8:26 a.m. You're listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we are here with a friend of the show, Noah Way, Aurora native and filmmaker. All right. So, tell us about your experience as a theater director?
Mm.
And what does a theater director do? You direct
Yeah.
theater, I'm sure. But
Yes.
Right.
I love theater, so theater is like my first artistic love. Like that's what I kind of grew up doing. I started in middle school because like my mother enrolled me in like sports growing up, and it like did not go well at all, like at all. Like in case
Shout
you
out.
can't tell by the way I'm dressed, like I'm just not a sportsy
No.
person, and so it was like, you're a boy, let's enroll you in like basketball, let's enroll
Football,
you
all
in
those,
baseball,
yeah.
and yeah, all that kind of stuff, and like it just and then it was like moving to like the delicate sports like ice skating and things like that, and then
Right.
like when that didn't go well, it was like, okay, last stop, theater. And I did theater like when I was starting in middle school, and it just life changed. And to answer your question, a theater director is someone who is creatively navigating the ship that the cast members and the performers on the show are in. And so a lot of people think of like a director as a boss, which is totally not the case. Not only is that like infactual because like the producer is the one in charge, but like the director is not a boss. And anytime I'm talking to like another artist friend who so happens to be an actor, and they're like, yeah, my director is like telling me to do this or like is treating me this way, I'm like, it's like a collaboration. You know, one can't exist without the other. It's a yin and a yang. And so, you know, my job is to ask questions
Right.
to my actors that perhaps the audience would be interested in finding out those answers to. And it's the actor's job to answer those questions that I ask them
Right.
through their work and help perhaps alter their performances to get to where we need the show to be. And yeah, essentially does
Yes,
that you
yeah.
think sum it up
W-
all right?
Oh, bro, that perfect.
Okay, well I didn't know because I could talk about it forever,
No,
but
I
I could
know.
also be like 2 sentences and I'm done. Not that that's 2 sentences at
Yeah.
all. But
Which role do you like better? The directing, the producing, the acting?
producing is very stressful. Producing, you have to handle everything, like every little thing. So I am very fortunate to have a fantastic collaborator who's a mentor of mine. His name's John K. Burke, and he is a reality television producer and was for a very long time. And he handles a lot of like the stressful stuff
All the chaos.
for me, all the chaos. Yeah, so he's like a line producer. He's the one on set. And so it's like anytime I have an issue, you know, I'm like, hey, John, like, what do we do? So it's like I handle the actors' emotional breakdowns, and my producer handles the director's emotional breakdowns.
That's what Curtis does for me, too.
Right? Oh, there we go. It's like a harmonious relationship. But I would have to say my favorite is directing and writing. Like I just love creating. I love having a story inside of me that I feel needs to be seen. It's also a great way. Writing is a great way for me to cope with life. Because life can be traumatic sometimes, you know, or you just have a story inside of you that you want to get out. And once I write a screenplay, I'm like, I want to make this because I feel like if I've gotten something out of it, we're all human beings at the end of the day, no matter, you know, what your background is or who you are, we're all human. And so I feel like someone would hopefully be able to get something out of my films.
Right.
And so that's really important to me to be on that part of the process, the directing and the writing.
So to go into part of what we talked about the day that you and I met, and I want to piggyback off of that, directing people, dealing with the individuals and their all these personalities, people. Do some people have it, and some people don't? And what is it?
Look, I'm just gonna keep on being like, great question.
I was waiting for you to
yeah.
come. I'm telling you, man.
Cool.
I stayed up all night for this.
Oh my goodness, I love it. It's okay. I went to bed late too. I think some people do, quote unquote, have it, and I think some people perhaps are not born with it. I think there's 2 different types of talent. one is intrinsic and innate, and one is a learned talent. So I think some people have it. They grow up and they're naturally a good, singer, dancer, actor, writer, whatever that may be.
Mhm.
And then other people, they have an interest in it, and they're like, they have to work on it, because at the end of the day it's a craft. And so I think it's so funny, because when I was in graduate school, there were a lot of people who were way more talented than me. They were better writers, they were better directors, they knew what they were doing more with the camera than I did. But sometimes I saw people that just naturally had it
Mhm.
rely on that and be like, oh, I'm good, so I don't need to work at it anymore. And it kind of became like a complacency ideology, and I saw it be a little bit dangerous to people's careers and to people's work ultimately, because I always felt like I love being the stupidest person in the room, because I can learn and I can grow,
Oh, that's great.
you
Word.
know?
Word.
And hopefully some of that'll rub off on me, and I can be more intellectual, I can be more intelligent from learning from other people. So I love to hang around great artists that make me feel overwhelmed, or make me feel like I can be doing better, because ultimately I want to strive. So I feel like I had some of it, but also there was so much that I needed to hone and craft, and I did that through some through school, but mostly just through personal life, and through the fact that this was a personal desire of mine. So I think like, moxie, passion, desire, dedication, hard work, like I think that's going to take you further than just quote unquote having it.
Right.
Talent.
Right.
So
Gotta
I don't
keep
know if
your
that's
knife sharp.
controversial, but
No, that's
okay.
What
Sweet.
What are some of your favorite movies or influential movies, like your feel-good movies? You mentioned that you
Oh,
escaped.
okay. So I'm gonna try to not sound pretentious. I'm so sorry. My like favorite movies are are French New Wave cinema. So that is a film movement from France in the 1960s, where essentially in America, studios were creating the films,
Mhm.
where studios and the studio heads were deciding what was going on, and they hired the directors, and they gave notes on the script, and they were in charge of placing the actors and everything like that. Whereas the French were like, no, artists make films.
Right.
And so all of the films in the 1960s in France, with this French New Wave movement, they started focusing on the director being the auteur, being the captain of the ship with his crew that he collaborated with, and he made they made a lot of films that, rather than were plot oriented, were focused on interpersonal relationships and more about being a human. I don't know if you've ever seen like experimental films where they don't necessarily have like a plot. It's more like slice of life.
Yeah.
They did a lot of films like that because they thought that appropriately represented the human condition better than like, a 3-act structure. And so a lot of my favorite films are from filmmakers like Agnes Varda, Jean-Luc Godard, Francis Truffaut. I really like this film called Persona, which is an Ingmar Bergman film, who he's actually a Swedish director. But then I also have like, American cinema that I like. I like David Fincher, so he did like Gone Girl. I like that movie a lot. I also like some older ones, like Harold and Maude is a really good movie of mine that I like. And I'm also a fan of my favorite director. His name's Xavier Dolan. He's a French Quebecois director who he makes French films in Canada, and they're just very similar to what I want to make.
Mhm.
And so I'm like very inspired. So he was like the first director that growing up I saw make the types of films I want to aspire to be. So
It's great.
is that
It is.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that
that's
okay?
interesting just to
Okay.
hear the diversity that you have within your tastes and how you bring that into what you're doing now
Mm-hmm.
to an audience that may or may not be familiar with that.
Thank you. Yeah, it blends in with the theater as well because like French cinema was so much was very intimate and personal, and the thing is like theater is very intimate and personal. You know, once it's finite. Once it exists and is performed, like it no and like after that, it's done, and you'll never get to see it again. But there's like an intimacy of
Yeah.
being in the same room
Oh, I didn't think
as
about
another person performing, and like seeing them from 10 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet away, and seeing them cry on stage, or seeing them, handle news, or like whatever the actor might be performing. And I want my films to reflect the intimacy of theater because of my background, but also because I think that just makes the audience more connected. So I have a lot of unbroken takes in my films. I have a lot of close-ups. I have a lot of lingering shots and things like that. I want the audience to feel like they're in the room with my characters, as they would be in theater. So I don't like doing like
Interesting.
the cut, or the different camera angle, different camera angle, different camera angle. Like I like the former better. So just for my personal taste.
Told you it's a good interview. What is the major difference between the West Coast and the Midwest? So taking that whole
Oh,
Sugar
goodness.
Grove experience and Batavia, and then L.A.,
Mm-hmm.
California.
So Los Angeles, very diverse. I'm happy that to have grown up in a place like Aurora that was diverse. And but Los Angeles, I mean, everyone is different, and it's people from different backgrounds and races and cultures, but also people that like might think like you and look like you, but just come from a completely different like frame of mind than
Right.
you're used to. So that was really cool. But then also like people are really similar too, which is funny. Like I feel like everyone that was told they were the most attractive in high school ends up moving to Los Angeles
Right.
because everyone just looks like they're a background actor on like the OC or something like that.
Everybody.
And I'm like,
And they're trying to look like that.
wow. And they're trying
Yeah.
to look
Yeah.
like that. Exactly. And then also like everyone is in the entertainment industry in some facet or knows someone that is, which is like cool. But it just becomes very normalized. So like I remember catching up with like some friends back in the Midwest when I like first started working on sets out there, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, did you work with any celebrities or whatever? And it's like, oh yeah, like this person, this person, this person. It just becomes like normal after a while, because if you're on set for 14 hours a day with someone, or standing next to them, or holding a reflector under their face, or it just is like, it just is normal. Like it's a job, and you're
Right.
like, you're still like, okay, when can we go home?
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Right.
Yeah, and it's definitely a lot more forward thinking and progressive, more liberal. And the Midwest, I feel, is a little bit more closed-minded.
Yeah.
Not as progressive. They don't. Los Angeles embraces people that are different. They might not like get you, but they'll let you be. They'll be like, "Oh, you do your thing."
Right.
Whereas Midwest is like, I feel it's a little cookie cutter. Like you have to fit in. Like if you walk down the street, wearing something that's out of the ordinary, or whatever, or doing something that's out of the ordinary, it's like you will stick out like a sore thumb. And if people don't like it, they might give you a look. They might say something to you. Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
what it is,
Right.
And Aurora has all of these different pockets. Some are liberal, some are not. Some are, diverse, some are not. And, different experiences in different places,
Right.
Elicit different results from, someone who is different. So,
Yeah. Going back to our conversation, that's one of the things that I admired about your films and admire about you because, you know, you step outside that box and make what you want to make, even if it's not what people, what the prevailing thought of the populace, you know, around here would think, and the topics and the things like that. And having lived in California for a while, that's what made your work really stand out. Why I asked the question about your overarching theme, because like we see, you and I have talked about the closed-mindedness, like for example, and I want you to speak on it if you can, like, you know, you're trying to make a movie, such and such location would be great to film this shot, but what's it about? Oh no, we don't want, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not something that one would have to think about in a place like California, you know, where
Absolutely.
people are like, oh yeah, you can shoot whatever. Yeah.
For sure. No, living in California, it's like you, like for instance, I lived across the street from a roller rink in Los Angeles, and on their website they had like a tab for like if you wanted to film there, and what their day rate was to rent them out, and who you contact. You know what I mean? Like that was just so normal.
Right.
Where it was like you walk into a restaurant and you're like, I would like to film there, and they're like, for $600 a day you can. You know, like stuff like that. Whereas here, no one shot a movie. Like no one has shot like a movie here. Like Johnny Depp shot a scene from Public Enemy here in 2008.
Right.
Cool.
Fleeting. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that.
right.
Like that was that. And like people are still talking about that 12 years later.
Right.
And it was
It's on
like,
our
is that all
Wikipedia.
Aurora? Yeah, it's on the Wikipedia. I was like, is that all Aurora is famous for? Yeah, when I would approach places, they would be like, you want to film a movie here? Like, oh, that's cute. Like, what school are you with? Or like, they just take it less seriously. And it doesn't matter how many credentials you present to them or how much ethos you present to them. They're still going to be like, well, you're in, you know, you're just outside of Chicago. You know, you're in Aurora. Like, this can't be legit.
Right.
And then, you know, I don't know. I would show up to certain places and I would say, "Hi, this is who I am. This is a few of the things I've done, and this is what I want to do." And a lot of people would be like, "No, that's okay." And I would be like, "Oh, okay. Like I thought some places would be really cool with like, you know, having a movie on Amazon, like, you know, or like free advertisement or whatever. Like I know there's like legal stuff to deal with, but like, you know, mom and pop shops, you know, is what I was using, or like people's houses. But then people also don't understand, like, even when I was using the skate rink, I told them like, I need this long, this long, this long, this long. And when I would I showed up, like our call time was 5 a.m. and I showed up, and one of the employees was like, "Oh yeah, you got to be here, like out of here at like 2." And I was like, "Oh, we were supposed to go until like 5, maybe 7." And he goes, "Yeah, well, we have like some people to train that are coming in for lessons, so you got to be out there before that." And I was like, "Oh, well, that totally like wrecks our day." So it's like a lack of understanding, you know, a naivete about it. But then I also just ran into some strange things of like, I would want to use some locations, or even like some actors, and they were like, "Oh, this has elements of, you know, this or that. I don't want to be affiliated with that." Or like, just crazy things like, "Oh, you want to use my house? Well, if you give me one of the parts, I will do that." I was like, "That's not how this works." I was like, "I will give you
This is
a
not
couple $100,
negotiation.
and I will thank you in the credits."
Yeah.
Exactly. This is not a negotiation. So that's just so strange. Or like people asking to read the script, if like I was, you know, giving like coming in for a location because they wanted to know what it was about, and then them like trying to give me criticism or trying to change things, and I was just like, not that I'm open to criticism, but
You
I
should
was
name
like,
that
I'm sorry,
guy Benny, man. Come
right,
on.
right. I
Like,
was like, but
I
I
think
like
you
I
did,
don't go to you for that. I gotta to other people.
Right.
When
So
you make your
Can
movie,
I film
you
in
can
Pep
do it.
Boys or can't I?
right. So, and I don't mean that in like, a rude way, but it was just it was like obstacle after obstacle
Mhm.
after obstacle, unfortunately.
Interesting.
But I stuck with my band of people that kind of understood
Word.
what we were
Mhm.
what we were doing, because it was, I would rather have people, going back to the it conversation, I would rather mesh with people's vibe than them have quote unquote it.
Word.
You know, they, and like, to me that is it. Like, if you get what we're trying to do, like, the performance from my actor will come. You know, I don't want to just watch self tapes submitted to me from actors, or be in an audition room
Right.
with a casting director and watching them. I want to have a conversation with them. Let me hear about you. Let me hear about your experiences. Let me hear about what art means to you, or what this character, what you can do with this character. And to me, that's just so much more meaningful and substantial than like a really good monologue,
Right.
you know? So,
Man.
What's next? What do you want to do? What type of films, or what's in the future for No Way?
So right now, Ecstasis is in this weird like limbo stage, unfortunately, because of the virus, and it's awaiting like festivals. So I was kind of putting things off a bit on submitting to festivals or screening at festivals,
Mhm.
because I want people to be there in person,
Oof.
you know, and I want them to see, and it's a great networking and opportunity to meet other collaborators or other producers or other directors. And so I'm hoping Ecstasis will screen at the end of this year or the beginning of next year at various festivals around the country. And I will meet some people and be able to get linked up with them and keep on making films. So that's what I want to keep doing. I've written 15 feature-length scripts, and I've only produced 2 movies. So I already have like a couple ideas of which scripts I want to be my third. But you know, it's all about meeting producers and someone that's going to take a chance on you. That's exactly what happened with my first movie. I had a mentor who took a chance on me, and then I met another producer because he saw Rink, who ended up taking a chance on me for Ecstasis and supplied a bigger budget than Rink. And you know, if that keeps happening, you know, eventually someone will see it, and it'll lead to more growth and stuff like that. You know, I don't want or need everybody to like know who I am, but you know, I would love to be able to like have a platform to showcase my work. Like, that's what's important to me. That's what I want to resonate with people. So
Cool.
that's the hope.
What's the most difficult part about acting?
About acting, whether or not you're like, perhaps whether or not you're being another person, or taking the part that's inside of you that is like that character,
Mhm.
and like bringing that to the surface. You know, I would like to think perhaps it's the latter, because if you're trying to be another person, I feel like it's a disconnect. You know, and the audience will sniff that out, or it'll be a little ingenuine. And so if you take, you know, humans are so complex. If you are taking a character or playing a character, and you take that part that's inside of you and you accentuate that and bring that out to the surface, that's like a very difficult thing to do. You know, it could be you know, it could be triggering, it could be, you know, challenging, but like also it's worth it. It supplies much more of an authentic performance and experience for both, I think, the actor themselves and the people watching. Yeah.
Strong, man. Strong state. Yeah, just here's the kind of question I was asking him when we met.
Oh, yeah?
Like, you know, the things. Yeah, when you don't know and haven't been a film or a theater director,
Mm-hmm.
you get to talk to one. Like, man, you know, I like that interpersonal experience. I like dealing with other people. Always have.
It's
you know.
fun.
It is fun.
Dealing with other people's fun, and like, yeah, working with other people, and it's like I'm under the ideology that like two minds are better than one. So it's like let's all come together and create or
Yep.
make something great. I would say another hard thing about acting is with the whole taking the thing out of yourself and making the actor or and bringing it into the character. I think a lot of people have like a transition of like suddenly when the camera is rolling or when the curtain goes up for a show, it's suddenly like I'm acting. It's like they turn on a switch. And Stanislavski, who I studied a lot in undergrad, is like that needs to go away. All that BS of like turning it on when the camera turns on or when the curtain goes up, that goes away. Like that's all extra and that's unnatural. And being an actor is reflecting on the human condition and the human experience. And humans don't do that. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
it can be
Yeah,
challenging
Yeah.
to like actually work on being a real human and not a caricature.
Yeah, it's
So.
like some of these actors that they'll immerse themselves into that character,
Mhm.
that they become that character.
Mhm.
I'm thinking like Heath
Like
Ledger,
method acting,
yes, the
yeah,
Joker
all
or
that
something like that.
stuff.
And they're like, wow, he was really weird
So
and crazy during that time.
exactly.
Lee Marvin. Showing my age. Anyway, the time is 8:52. So I got something just real quick to. Oh, go ahead. My bad.
Oh, go ahead.
Something real quick before we end, and the show ends on a positive note, and you tell the people the message for the day. It's good that you pierced. What was that
Pierced.
country today, boy? Pierced.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. I told you I like that you pierced the thought bubble, or perhaps lack thereof, of the Midwestern
Uh-huh.
ism, and put out what you want to put out and do your thing. Like it's nice when you Rink and Exorcist. Like it's nice to think that from Aurora there is creativity. Remember we talked about like there's so much creativity here in Aurora.
Mhm.
It's a creative place, boy. We've got artists and we've got creative people, but the mindset of the Midwest,
Mhm.
just the whole, you know,
It's a little suffocating.
it is. Now we were somewhere else when we were having this conversation, so
We
it's kind
were.
of hard to replicate it on camera in the studio.
Yeah,
but like
that's okay.
it's a very suffocating just thought umbrella that just sits on top and does not allow you to think that such topics are possible or permissible to talk about. One of the things about the show that we like is we speak up for the people who never had that
Uh-huh.
voice, our undocumented residents, our members of the LGBT community, our veterans, our seniors, and we're trying to let that be told to everybody, and you're either with it, the nice
Mhm.
world that we all want to have and the thoughts, or you're not. And I
Mhm.
like that you just you steam right along with your message, man. I really like that.
Thank
really
you
like
very
that.
much.
Yep.
Sometimes it can be a little independent, but you find people along the way.
Yep.
If it's a strong enough will inside of you,
Yep.
you'll keep going. So
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Real quick before we end, 3 words that you would describe you. How would you describe yourself?
oh, putting me on the spot. I would like to say, creative, artistic, and helpful.
Helpful.
I have create and help tattooed on my wrists as like a mantra for me because I really just want to help people. Like I think I was put
Mhm.
on the earth to assist, and so helping people in any way I can. So I would, if you say something enough, like it'll happen, manifesting. So I really enjoy humanitarianism and things like that. And I know we didn't really like talk about any of that stuff, but I during COVID I've been volunteering at the Interfaith Food Pantry back when everything first started. I've been in third world countries before, and I really enjoy doing that. So that's where the helpful part
Well,
comes
that's
in.
great,
But
yeah.
creative, artistic, helpful.
We were talking about that yesterday too. That everyone can do something. It's again just using your
Yeah.
talents and actually doing something, taking those steps to make a difference. That's great.
Absolutely. So
The show ends on a positive note. What is the message for the people today from Noah?
message for the people today from Noah. I must say, be kind. Be kind to everybody. Accept everyone. If someone's different from you, that's not scary. That's kind of cool. Because otherwise life would be boring. And you can learn from someone who's different from you. And just be kind. It's cliche, but yeah.
Sometimes you need that reminder.
Sometimes you need
Yeah.
that reminder. Who doesn't? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do when I'm sitting in traffic.
Get out of my way.
No, yeah, that's for sure.
Stop texting.
Yep.
So that was a great episode. You have been watching and listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, and we were pleased to have our friend on the show, Mr. Noah Way, Aurora native and filmmaker. Donate to the food pantry if you can, and we appreciate all of our listeners and all of our fans out there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more awesome content.